JonBenét Ramsey, this adorable 6-year-old beauty pageant queen, is spending the holiday with her family. Her mom Patsy, who used to be a beauty queen herself, her dad John, and her 9-year-old brother Burke. The house is all decked out, presents have been unwrapped, and everything seems perfect as they settle in for the night. But then things take a dark turn. The next morning, December 26, 1996, Patsy Ramsey wakes up early, ready to start the day. But instead of the usual post-Christmas calm, she finds something that sends her into a panic. A ransom note. This handwritten note says, "You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills." Patsy's terrified, so she immediately calls 911, telling the operator her daughter's been kidnapped and they've got to come up with the money, no police allowed. Now here's the thing, $118,000 is a really odd amount. It just so happens to be almost the exact amount of John Ramsey's Christmas bonus. Weird, right? So the police rush over, the house is searched, and everyone's on high alert. But something's off. The police make a big mistake. They let friends and family come over, which totally messes up the crime scene. The place is crawling with people, and any chance of collecting clean evidence is pretty much ruined. And then the unthinkable happens. Later that day, John Ramsey and a family friend head down to the basement, and there, in a small room, they find JonBenét's body. She's been struck on the head and strangled with a garrote made from a piece of cord and a broken paintbrush. It's devastating, and now the case takes a whole new direction. JonBenét's parents end up giving a tough 45-minute interview to CNN from Atlanta, where they're now staying with family. Patsy goes on TV and says, "There is a killer on the loose. If I were a resident of Boulder, I would tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there." But here's where things get even more twisted. The ransom note becomes a huge piece of the puzzle. Handwriting experts get involved, and while they can't completely rule Patsy out, they also can't definitively say she wrote it. The note itself is strange. It's written on Patsy's notepad, using a pen from the house, and it's unusually long for a ransom note. It almost feels staged. Also, the Ramseys originally said Burke was asleep the morning his sister was discovered missing and didn't wake up until the police arrived. But when the 911 tape gets enhanced, Burke's voice is reportedly heard in the background. So the police start zeroing in on the family. The media also goes wild with this theory, and suddenly the Ramseys are under intense scrutiny. In response, JonBenét's parents talk to the local press. Patsy says, "I'm appalled that anyone would think that John or I would be involved with such a hideous and heinous crime. But let me assure you, I did not kill JonBenét." Later, the autopsy reveals some disturbing details. JonBenét had been hit on the head with a blunt object, and she was still alive when she was strangled. There were also signs that she may have been mistreated before her death. You'd think this would lead to some solid answers, but nope. The investigation is a complete mess. Evidence gets mishandled, the crime scene wasn't secured properly, and leads aren't followed up on the way they should have been. It's a disaster. And it gets worse. Multiple investigators resign from the case, saying things like a very dangerous person is still out there, or that the case has been crippled. Theories start flying around. Some people think Patsy might have accidentally hurt JonBenét in a fit of anger, and the family staged the scene to cover it up. Others believe Burke, her older brother, might have had a fight with her over a late-night snack of pineapple, which was found undigested in her stomach. But the Ramseys strongly deny all of this. They insist an intruder broke in, took JonBenét from her bed, and committed the crime. So what about the intruder theory? Well, there are some strange things that might support it. There's a broken window in the basement that could be an entry point, but there's also a suitcase right under that window that doesn't seem to belong there. Some folks think the intruder might have used it to boost themselves out after the crime. Then there's the DNA evidence. They find unidentified male DNA on JonBenét's clothes, but it doesn't match anyone in the Ramsey family or anyone else they test. This leaves the door open for the intruder theory, but it's still not enough to close the case. As the years go by, the case goes cold. JonBenét's mother, Patsy, passes away at the age of 49 from ovarian cancer. She's buried right next to her daughter, JonBenét. And even 20 years later, the mystery still haunts us. In an interview with Dr. Phil, JonBenét's brother Burke says it probably was some creepy person in the pageant audience.